He pinned me against the locker room, and
Wow.
then I told him to let me go, and he didn't. And then he punched me in the face, and I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm tired of not doing anything. So I punched him, and he fell down. And then
What did
our,
that
our
feel like? Do you remember what that felt like?
Check it out. Let me tell you one.
What is up, my MMA brothers and sisters? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk MMA. I have another segment today of Get to Know a Fighter. I have Daniel Prodigy Gonzalez, another fighter coming out of AKA. Has a good little amateur record that I really want to kind of dig into and learn more about. And the debut coming up April 22nd, his pro debut. And this guy looks very sharp. Obviously, I'm going to show you the clips and anything that I have dug up of him, but we're going to get to know him. So without further ado, let's get to know Daniel Prodigy Gonzalez. Daniel, what's up, brother?
How you doing, my brother?
I am doing fantastic. Now, before we begin, I have to call this out. We chatted a few minutes ago. I just gave you a little intro. But man, your energy, I can feel it through this freaking screen. Where the heck do you get that from? You got such good energy. You're excited. What's going on with you today?
You know what? I'll say I get it from my parents. They're up and down, up and about all the time. They never sit down. So I get it from them, definitely.
Well, being an athlete as you are, maybe that extra energy, but I'm just saying, like, it was instant. I just saw you and you just looked excited. You look like you enjoy each and every day, very much like myself. So I'm going to enjoy this interview quite a bit.
So am I, man. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, let's start. Every time I meet somebody brand new like you, I like to go to the beginning, you know, where everything kind of started. So you're obviously from the Bay Area. Are you also from Gilroy? Is that where you grew up?
I actually grew up in San Juan Bautista.
Okay.
It's about like 10 minutes from Gilroy. So I was around that area too, but not living there per se.
Okay.
But I grew up in San Juan Bautista.
Gotcha. Well, I was in South San Jose, so you were just a little bit further south. So
Yeah.
I still feel like you're in my backyard, which is always exciting for me. AKA was one of those gyms growing up, you know, Frank Shamrock, and I'm sure, you know, you growing up, you knew of all these guys. So it's always exciting to me to meet somebody new that trains there. But let's start with martial arts in general. You growing up, what kind of things were you exposed to early on, martial arts wise?
Martial arts wise, I mean, I actually, in a way, I never wanted to fight.
Wow.
You
Okay.
know, I was bullied as a kid a lot. You know, from third grade all the way to eighth grade.
No way.
You know, I kind of wanted to just stay away from all that. I would always play sports. I'd play basketball. I was a track, cross country. But you know, for some reason, I've always wanted to fight. Me, my parents, my family, we'd all get together and watch pay-per-views. And I've always wanted. I was like, man, I can totally do this. Even though back then I was like, you know, I was getting my butt kicked all the time. But I was like, I could definitely do this. This is like something I want to do. And then we went to a small gym in Hollister.
Yeah.
So that gym worked out. It was like, okay, it was a really great gym. But
How old were you at this point?
I was 16.
Okay.
I was in high school.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 16 years old. And then the gym was good. I learned, you know, some good basics there. But the whole goal of mine was it's funny, I wanted to start my pro career at AKA. That was my main goal. But it turns out I ended up leaving, the small gym in Hollister, and ended up in AKA because I had a smoker there.
At
And
AKA?
then at AKA,
Okay.
my coach from Hollister didn't show up to corner me.
Oh man, that's a low blow.
That's kind of what bothered me, and I decided, you know what, this is not for me, and I didn't like that. I just thought it was really disrespectful, and so Hav watched me at the smoker, and you know, really was talking to me about that. He was like, "Where was your corner? Why wasn't anybody in your corner?" I told him, and he was like, "Man, do you need a place like a gym?" And I was like, you know, this is like where I always wanted to be. This is like what I always wanted to do. Like in these walls, in this area, like this was the.
Wow.
So I ended up going in there. I tried out for the amateur team, made the amateur team, started taking fights, and man, I loved it, man. It's literally like my escape from everything. It's all I do.
And that's like your training. Like when you're in training, I mean, that's what you want to do. That's your fun. That's your escape. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, let me ask you before we go too much further. So at 16, where this kind of urge came from, which is pretty mind-blowing considering if you're the one getting bullied, then violence or conflict, is that kind of what you're saying you didn't like? You kind of, if anything, try to stay away from, but yet there was some type of inner calling later down the line that said, hey, I can do that?
Yeah, in a weird way it was. I mean, and to be honest, I never defended myself once from 3rd grade all the way to 8th grade.
You just took it.
And I just took it.
Wow. But how about why? I mean, all those years, that's many years. Like, what was it about you that I guess the bullies would bully you for?
I have no idea. I mean, I never did anything wrong. I just never knew why. But my freshman year of high school, the guy tried to bully me again, like my life bully. He pinned me against the locker room.
Wow.
And then I told him to let me go, and he didn't. And then he punched me in the face, and I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm tired of not doing anything. So I punched him, and he fell down. And then
what did that feel like? Do you remember what that felt like? That's what I figured. I'm like, oh man. You're like, how come I didn't defend myself before?
That's what I was saying. I'm like, man, I should have done this a long time ago. Just to like stand up and. I made a promise to myself. I was like, nobody's ever gonna touch me like that again.
Yeah. Well, wait, if that happened when you were a freshman, was that during that time when you were at that Hollister gym where you actually started kind of getting exposed to it anyways?
Yeah.
Wow. Because I think, I have 2 daughters, so I mean, self-defense I think is very important. So they actually do jiu-jitsu now, and exactly that. Like, you don't know what kind of trouble is going to come to you, but you got to at least have some type of confidence knowing that you could defend yourself. Would you say that was the difference? You had a little bit of exposure, a little bit of training, so you had the I don't know, the confidence to kind of fight back?
It gave me that extra push, that I needed, because otherwise I would have been hiding still, or just not, it's just not something I would want to do. I want to defend myself, but I'm not a guy to like chase fights. I was never like that. I was very, had friends. I was very laid back. Never wanted to do any of that stuff. And then,
oh man,
it's crazy.
Well, I've seen your Instagram post, so I'm gonna get that to a second, because I feel like I'm talking to a little bit different person. Because when you talk about your opponent, or I'll get to that in a second. But in my mind, I'm like, I see how you put posts, especially when you're in regards to your fights. And what's funny is before we even started the conversation, I'm like, man, this guy talks to his opponents like they stole his lunch money or something. Like, it's almost like you're kind of the bully. Like, you're not going to beat me. You're not going to take what I'm working hard for. So, well, we'll get to that. Let's talk about your amateur fight. So AK kind of, and maybe Javier specifically, took you under his wing, or the gym took you under their wing. And you have 7 fights as an amateur. How about in a whole? Tell us about that experience, because that's a lot of fights going into your pro debut, which is what we're looking forward to now. So out of that experience, what has that all taught you? Yeah,
so Javier had me, we had amateur coaches, and so it would be separate from the pros. Yeah. And, those coaches were amazing. I loved them to death always. It was a great experience for me, because I remember in my very first fight, I was shaken up, tense, sweaty, nervous, And as the experience went on, I could feel like it's crazy. Like from my first fight to my last fight, completely different. My first fight, I didn't want to talk to nobody. My last fight, the crowd was booing me because I was fighting their hometown boy.
Yeah.
And I was screaming to the crowd, "This is my show. I'm gonna take care of this night and your boy."
Oh, there it is.
That's what I wanted to do, and I felt like I'm enjoying it now. Before I was so nervous and not enjoying the moment, and now I'm just kind of like being happy with it all. Like in my locker room,
You're
getting ready
relaxed.
for fights, I'm relaxed and I'm smiling, I'm laughing, I'm enjoying my coaches. We're enjoying it, man, because it's what you love. You gotta enjoy it, you know.
That's great. That's great. I mean, and what's crazy is, even at the pros, like you saw the fights yesterday, I assume, UFC 210. One guy that always strikes me as the most relaxed person is Gegard Mousasi. And
Yes.
he's just somebody who, like, it doesn't look like anything bothers now. He's had so many fights. Maybe that's why. But then when he goes out there, you can see that relaxation. And it's like, wow, I mean, he's so focused. And that's kind of what you need. You can't let the nerves get into your brain during the fight. But so that's a lot of experience. Now, you're 4-3, so you had more wins than losses. But those losses, I bet, taught you the most. What else? What would you say that taught you?
That taught me that, I can lose and everybody's beatable, because there are moments where you kind of feel like Superman, but at the same time, you have to think about, every individual in this game is beatable, but you have to work so hard to the point where, you don't lose.
Yeah.
And those experiences were very, very tough for me. I went through a hard time with every loss. It was not easy, but just like anything in life also, if you fail at something, you got to find a way just to get back up,
Yeah.
And I didn't want to let those losses define me, because that's not what I am, and that's not who I am.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really cool too when I see someone, because I understand obviously the logistics of an amateur. You're not maybe getting paid at all, or you're basically just doing it for the experience. So a lot of people will kind of jump the gun, get that pro license, and just go for it. So when I saw this, I was like, 7 fights, that's a lot of experience. So this might be your pro debut we're looking forward to, though. But you have valuable experience that the real record counts at your next fight. That's what really matters. The amateur was there for your experience. You went ahead and went that route. And I'm assuming that maybe your coaches kind of led you down that path because they felt it was the right way to go.
Yeah, and that's what I thought too, because I see a lot of guys, they take one fight as an amateur, and then they're pro. And I'm like, that's so crazy. I mean, I hear it from other gyms everywhere. But I wanted to go to the hard route, not most like the hard route, but the right way, I would feel. Get the experience, see what it's like in there, and, get fights in, win a title. And then, when you win a title, you can make your professional debut. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted experience. I did not want to jump as a professional scared and, like, what the heck am I doing here? Like, I didn't want that. I wanted to go to my professional debut like how I am now, confident, feeling good, and just ready,
Nice,
and
nice.
I just feel completely prepared for this. Like, I've never been ready for anything in my life.
That's fantastic. Well, I feel it. Like I said, it's coming out of that screen. I feel the excitement and I'm really excited. Like, I've seen your some of your fights, I've seen some of your clips, and it's just crazy. I mean, and I'd have to give obviously a lot of credit to AKA, but then more of the credit to you because you're the one going in there day after day and putting in the work. But you're looking sharp. You're looking dangerous. You're freaking fast. How old are you now?
I just turned 22.
Holy smoke. So, I mean, you got such a long journey ahead of you. You're smart, kind of reminds me of Nolan. Like, he's so smart and feel like doing it the right way, but I guess maybe the coaches are to thank guiding you this way. Now, April 22nd, Dragon House in San Francisco. It's going to be your pro debut. Obviously, very excited for this. You're on a 2-win streak, so your confidence must be at an all-time high. Obviously there's 2 weeks left. The biggest question I kind of have is, you have all these amateur fights. This is your pro debut. What weight class are you fighting at?
I am fighting at flyweight, 125 pounds.
Wow, amazing. And would you say, I didn't get to see what you did in the amateur, but is that kind of where you've been fighting?
I've been, it's funny, man. I mean, I would weigh in at 125, and some of my opponents would not make weight, So I would be fighting guys that are like 15 pounds, 10 pounds heavier than me, and it would happen all the time. and I didn't appreciate that at all. But it is what it is, and sometimes they would have us sign contracts like, oh, do you not want to take the fight and just make it a no contest? I'm like, no, man, I had a training camp. Like, let's just take the fight. Yeah, he's bigger, but yeah, you just got to do it, man.
Well, that's experience right there. I mean, I truly feel everything happens for a reason. So when the not so favorable things happen, you just got to dig for why did this happen and dig for what the good thing is. But 125 is kind of one of those interesting weight classes. I'm guessing you're still okay with 135?
Yeah, I mean, 25 feels like my home. I mean, I'm very big for my weight class. The guys that I normally fight are much smaller than me because I'm very tall. My last opponent, he was taller than me. But I'm one of those big flyweights.
Yeah.
And I'm training with the top guys, and they're much heavier than me. So I just feel like when I'm in there fighting the flyweights, they feel like almost like little babies.
Right.
Like I just
especially since you're training with people bigger than you, then it's like, yeah, and you're already bigger for the weight class. Well, why I'm asking too is like it's my final question for you. And the most important, the one I look forward to the most. And my next question is, your pro debut is about to come up. Obviously, one fight at a time, one day at a time. But in your eyes, for what you foresee, what is in your future? What are you shooting for along this journey of mixed martial arts?
That's funny. Like my coach just asked me that a couple of days ago.
All right.
And I told him, I was like, when I'm done with this sport, I just want the whole world to remember my name, to know my name. I'm not doing this, for no reason. I don't sacrifice all the things that I do just to mess around. I am dedicated to this. This is all I know. I don't want anything else. I literally am aiming for the best in the world. That's it. I want to break records. I just want it all, man. And I know I can do it because I've been through a lot, and I've gone through every single step the way I did, and I know I can do this. I know I can. I'm very young, and I'm taking that as an advantage.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm training at the best gym in the world. What more could I ask for? Like I'm extremely blessed. I have amazing supporters. How could I not do this? How could I not? And I will.
Man, that is fantastic. You're giving me chills, my man. And I like that question because I think it really it digs into the purpose of why you go to the gym over and over again, why you put in that time and get beaten up or sweat and get tired. That's why I hold MMA fighters at a high regard. It's so difficult to do. You need to sacrifice so much, but the glory, exactly what you just explained, all those goals that you have, man, it's a journey, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes fights, it takes wins, it takes people spreading out your name and stuff like that. It's tough. So that's why thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I want to be able to talk with you more as we go along, talk to you about your fights, and I believe in you. If you believe in yourself, I'm convinced. I believe in you, and I wish you nothing but the best. I really do.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Raul, man. And I want to say one thing. I really appreciate you coming to us, as fighters. It's good, recognition for us and for us, like, for you to put us out there. I really appreciate it. Like, it means the world to me. Like, thank you.
Hey, I thank you, man. I thank you. I don't get to hear that all the time. I know I do it in a good place in my heart. Like, I do it because I love MMA. I love the sport. I'm not in a position where I can do it, but I follow it, and I know how hard you guys work. And these bigger channels or these bigger kind of medias, like they're not going to talk to you until you make it there. And when that happens, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, man, it's gonna happen. You'll eventually be talking to Ariel, and he'll be that guy that you need to talk to, and and I can't wait for that day. And man, I think that's it. Those are all the questions. Daniel Prodigy Gonzalez, remember the name. April 22nd, at Dragon House in San Francisco will be your pro debut. Hopefully we can talk a little bit after that, and
Sure.
we'll go with the flow.
Let's make it happen, man. Let's do it.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for your time again, and we'll talk real soon, my man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Definitely. Peace out, brother.
Good, brother.
Oh man. Well, if that didn't freaking reach to the screen and touch your heart, I don't know what will. But the fact of the matter is, that's why I love mixed martial arts. These athletes put in the time. They sacrifice their time with their friends, their family, whatever it is. And more, as I talk to more fighters, the more and more I even get to understand. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm very grateful that he sees me talking to him as a benefit as well, because that's what I'm trying to do, is get their names out there early on. These guys have goals. They're gonna make it, and you heard it here first. So until next time, peace.